signs everywhere.
It's 6 o'clock, and I'm calling to order the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of June 20th, 2024 to order. May we now begin with the roll call?
Sir, Hector J. Garcia. Rolando Cáceres.
Here.
Cindy E. Cantu.
Here.
Manuel E. Rangel.
Here.
Johnny M. Narvaez.
Present.
Jean Bermares.
Present.
Regina Portillo.
Present.
Daniela Sada Paz.
Here.
And Adolfo G. Martinez.
Present.
For the record, you have four.
Thank you. May I have a motion to excuse Commissioner Garcia?
Yes, so moved.
Motion by Commissioner Rangel, a second by Commissioner Belmontes. All in favor?
Aye.
Against, motion carries. A stamp of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Whenever you need a turn, you get the message.
Moving on to consider approval of minutes of regular meeting of June 6, 2024. I
So
believe-
moved, Mr. Chair.
However, I believe those aren't ready, right?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman. Unfortunately, we do not.
Don't have ready. Can I make a motion to table the approval of the minutes till next week? Postpone? Postpone.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Against, motion carries. Citizen comments, do we have any general comments or just comments
I think there were some
to particular items, correct?
that they signed up for.
Okay. Moving on to, can I have a motion to open public hearing?
To open public hearing 6A.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against, motion carries. Open, public hearing recommendation on ordinance, item 6A, public hearing on the amendment of the City of Laredo Land Development Code, Article 4, in order to amend Section 24-62 1B entitled Specific Use Zoning Overlay Districts by adding the Clark Boulevard Overlay District and adding new Section 24.75 entitled Clark Boulevard Overlay District CK to provide performance standards associated with proposed district and amending the City of Laredo zoning ordinance map to identify only those properties located abutting Clark Boulevard between North Seymour Avenue and North Ejido Avenue as the Clark Boulevard Overlay District.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. We do have a brief presentation at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, agenda item 6A. The background on April 2nd of 2022.
24.
2024. Sorry, there's kind of an echo here. The City Council directed staff to proceed with the creation of an overlay district on Clark Boulevard. The ordinance overview, it's to implement regulations to allow a section of Clark Boulevard to be redeveloped. The zoning overlay district on Clark Boulevard will allow certain additional uses while protecting the existing residential uses. The objective is to identify the overlay boundaries, encourage redevelopment where appropriate, to enhance this area's sense of place, community, and walkability, to balance traffic capacity with safety, placemaking, and local character, and further the goals of the comprehensive plan. Continuation of the ordinance overview, the location district is in District 4 for Council Member Alberto Torres Jr. The overlay boundaries are Clark Boulevard Overlay District pertains to only those parcels directly abutting Clark Boulevard from the east right-of-way line of North Seymour Avenue and the west right-of-way line of North Ejido Avenue. It was initiated by Council Member Alberto Torres, and it was a directive from the City Council. The owner's overview, how many parcels are actually located within this boundary. Land-based wise parcels, there is 145 lots. Webcat layer parcels base, there is 116 owners. Letters sent to the surrounding property owners within a 200-foot radius was 378. There has been 13 people who are for this proposed ordinance and 7 people who are against it. Zoning overview, basically, this is an example of what is happening at this overlay. So you have the property, then you have your base zone, and then you have your overlay districts. For example, If the property, on one of the Clark, under the Clark overlay, basically it's a property, then it would be whatever zoning is, placed at the moment. For example, if it's on R1 for residential, that is the base zoning, and then this Clark overlay will be on top of that base zoning. The boundaries, it's gonna be located on Clark Boulevard between North Seymour Avenue and North Ejido. The area is predominantly zoned, residential, R1 zoning district and R3 zoning district, but there is other zones in the area, which would be R2, RO, and B1. Those, zoning overviews, R1 is for single-family, residential, for those property owners to use the land as residence for one family. We do have R3 mixed residential, that provides an area for higher density residential uses, the use of mobile homes on a single lot, and for those public and semi-public uses normally considered, part of the neighborhood they serve. R2, those are R1 and R3 are the predominantly ones. The other zones that are present are R2, which allows multifamily. The R2 zoning district allows for property owners to use their property to house multiple families. The RO, residential office, RO allows for residential and business use. Offices such as medical and dental offices are allowed on this type of property. And then we have the B1, limited commercial, which is a B1 zoning district, is to provide business and commercial development serving a limited geographic area or neighborhood. This is an aerial view of the proposed boundary. This is a zoning overview. And this is a future land use. This is a view from Clark Boulevard and North Seymour, eastward view. This is a view from Clark Boulevard and North Ejido Avenue, westward view. And the Clark Boulevard overlay standards. Currently, right, this proposed ordinance it is going to implement a proposed permitted uses such as offices, broker services, insurance agency offices, real estate offices, offices professional, financial services, advise and invest, tailor shop, travel agency, photo studio, artist studio, antique shop, florist, beauty salon, non-college, barbershop, non-college, retail store, miscellaneous, child daycare, interior decorating studio, medical office, dental office, bakery, retail, pet shop, restaurant, bookstore, stationery stores. We do have supplementary standards for restaurants under permitted uses. Restaurants that only operate within a wholly enclosed structure. Hours of operation shall be limited between 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Special use permits will not be allowed. No restaurants serving alcohol may be operated in the Clark Boulevard Overlay District. There shall be no ground vibrations created or sustained on site which are perceptible to the instruments at any point in any property adjoining the subject property. Any outdoor seating and music shall be prohibited. Continuation of the standards, existing structures. To use the overlay, existing structures shall not be demolished, altered, or modified, and residential uses are allowed to continue simultaneously within the use of the overlay. Signage shall be no larger than 24 inches by 36 inches. They should be placed on a pole that can be either vertical or horizontal. Material used would be wood, metal, or iron, and only one sign. Sign shall not have flashing lights, scrolling text, or internal illumination. Continuation of the standards, landscaping. Existing landscaping shall not be removed to accommodate parking except if the site is larger than 9,000 square feet. Fencing and screening shall conform to the regulations found in section 2479 of the Laredo Land Development Code. Sidewalks and driveways shall be maintained, shall not be demolished or altered or modified, and no additional driveways or curb cuts shall be allowed to be constructed as part of the use of the overlay district. Continuation of the standards, parking. Existing parking shall be maintained. No additional parking shall be created to accommodate proposed uses within the overlay district except as specifically provided. Off-street parking shall be provided in accordance with the City of Laredo Land Development Code, Section 2478. A lot or continuous combination of lots proposed for an overlay allow the use which are larger than 9,000 square feet may provide additional parking beyond the 2 spaces limitation. Additional information. The overlay does not prohibit a zone change. Zone change requests will still be allowed. If you currently wish to demolish or alter the existing structure for current uses, the property owner may still do so. If the property owner wishes to demolish and alter the existing structure for the overlay permitted uses, then it will be prohibited. Questions? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I know we do have several comment cards, and we do have several people who want to speak in regards to this issue, so I am going to ask that whoever, when they do come up, we're going to keep it at a limit of 3 minutes, just to keep the order of the meeting going, and just so we can go through the other agenda items. Before I ask for public comment, is there any questions for staff? From the commission?
No.
Okay. The first comment card I have is Mr. Keith Franklin.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for allowing me to address you. My name's Keith Franklin. I'm a local attorney. I'm here with one of my clients, Dr. Michael Galo. I also represent Louis Lavode, who could not be here today. They're both in opposition to the proposed Clark Boulevard Overlay District. That's item 6A on the agenda. We also submitted our objections online. So Mr. Lavode owns the property and lives at 1710 Clark, and Dr. Galo is at 1602 Clark. Both have lived there on Clark for many, many years, and Clark has grown, admittedly, and it is a major thoroughfare through the Heights neighborhood in Laredo, but the Heights itself still remains it's a historic residential neighborhood in Laredo. It's primarily zoned R1 for single-family dwellings, has been for a long time. To allow for additional uses on the property along Clark is effectively going to punish these homeowners who have worked hard to keep their homes and neighborhood the way that it's been for many years for the benefit of a few. Those few interested in seeing this pass probably only have economic interests in mind, at least as far as we can tell, would not include those who do live and enjoy the neighborhood as homeowners. But obviously, we don't know that for certain. My client has spoken to several of his neighbors there, and everyone that he's spoken to has also been opposed. So there are plenty of other parts of the city that we believe could use economic incentives for development, but we don't believe that the Heights neighborhood is one of those. The homes along Clark are, for the most part, high-value properties already that contribute significantly to the tax base for the city's benefit, and we don't know that allowing for an overlay district along Clark is going to expand the tax base to the benefit to such a degree that warrants changing the character of an existing residential neighborhood. And one thing that my client, Mr. Lavode, wanted to note as well is that since there's no applicant from the neighborhood that's seeking this change in particular, it's coming from the city itself, it feels like a condemnation without due process of the payment of fair market value for whatever these homeowners would be losing as far as the character of and value that they've got in their homes right now. So that's all I've got. Keeping it brief, on behalf of my clients, we urge the commission to vote in opposition to 6A.
Thank you. I now have Michael Galo. Would you like to come up as well?
Good afternoon. Thanks for having us. I really don't have much more to add.
If you could just state your name for the record, please.
I'm sorry?
If you could just state your name for the record.
Michael B. Galo. I don't have a lot more to add. I did have driven down Clark, and I did notice that there's really not a lot of stuff you can do. There's not that many lots open. From Arkansas to the end of the plot, there's not very many lots that somebody can do something with. And if you're not gonna, if can't modify anything of the homes, I don't know what we're gonna gain. Seems like, it's not worth the trouble.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I now have Mr. Nathan Breton.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, staff members. My name is Nathan Bratton, and I reside within the proposed overlay zone, and I am 100% against it. And I'll tell you, the gentleman that just got up and spoke, I agree with every one of the issues that they brought forth. But here's the thing. You're going to put an overlay in place and allow by right those uses. In other words, once it's placed, you can come in and you can buy a house there and go straight to putting in a bakery or whatever it is you want to do. And the only person that is going to look over that, and I mean no disrespect to him because he's a good man, is the building official. And so if a neighbor goes in and complains about it, he's going to say, look, that's what the ordinance says. It says that he has a right to do this. And so, sorry. What is in place currently in your zoning code is the conditional use permit. It allows for the same thing, but in a much more protective manner, because if I want to put a restaurant somewhere in that area, I come in, I submit for a conditional use permit, it's reviewed by planning staff, they make a recommendation, I have to submit a site plan, that site plan is looked at parking and all of those things, and if they think it's a good idea, they'll send out notice, and all the neighbors in within 200 feet, I don't know if you're 3 now, but within 200 feet, will get notice of that proposed use, and they can come up on an individual basis for each lot and say, we don't like that. And it's not a city employee that's making the decision, because at that point, it goes to the city council. And the city council, they have a direct relationship with their constituents. And you can also oppose it at the city council and express the reasons why. And if they find for it, well, that's fine. The conditional use permit goes into play, and you get to put in your bakery or restaurant, whatever it is you're asking for. However, because it is conditional, if they ever violate those conditions, that permit can be withdrawn. And goodbye, they need to move out and quit doing, well, they have to move out, but they need to stop that activity. So as to the integrity of the neighborhood, as to the neighbors being able to have some input into what's going on, I think you already have a mechanism in place to do what is being suggested by this overlay. The other thing about the overlay is, currently, that whole segment from Seymour to Arkansas is all R1. It's all residential. There are some CUPs in there. And let me tell you, those folks that have those CUPs, I think there's a couple of them here. They're very well aware that if they violate those conditions, they can lose that. And they're very unobtrusive businesses. I've never seen any of them cause a problem. But like I say, they're very well aware of those conditions that they fall under. I can go into all the stuff about the traffic impacts. I can go into all the stuff about the number of accidents we're already seeing, especially in front of my house in Clark and Bartlett. There have been 2 in the last 3 or 4 months. Horrible, horrible accidents, result of high-speed chases. A lot of people were hurt, and they were innocent bystanders. That segment is pretty much a flow-through segment. We all understand that, okay? You flow through, you're going from over here to over there. If you do this, you're now attracting more and more traffic into that area to visit these little businesses. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Your ordinance says that you can't demolish a house. There's vacant lots, as was pointed out a minute ago. What does that mean? Does that mean by right they can go ahead and build something there that is consistent with this overlay should it be passed? That's not answered. So again, 100% against it. You already have a solution that is more responsive to the neighborhood and the constituents. Why would you then flip that on its head and put it into a bureaucratic format that we can't protest against, that we can't have our opinions heard? Thank you.
Thank you. The last card I have, I believe, is Gloria Teres. Gloria Teres.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gloria Telles. My husband and I have been residents of the Heights neighborhood for over 30 years. When we first moved into our home, that home was leased for over 10 years by an individual who used that for a forklift repair shop. It took my late mother and I 3 days to clean the kitchen and make it habitable. On one given Sunday, when the landfill was open on Sundays, we loaded up 9 truckloads of trash from the backyard. We have worked very hard to maintain the charm and beauty of that neighborhood, the neighborhood of which we here as residents of that neighborhood are extremely proud. And so, as of late, I've seen the traffic patterns at the closer to the corner of Arkansas and Clark around the Ryan Elementary School area, and the traffic does not flow. What do you think is going to happen once you bring in more business into that neighborhood? So I ask you to please, here are our pleas today against the overlay. I did not submit anything online against, but I also speak on behalf of my neighbor, Carlos Lopez, who could not be here with us this evening. He is also against it. He had a letter prepared for me. He just called me. He forgot to give it to me. But the signage, the additional trash, the additional clutter that it's going to bring to our neighborhood is not good for us. We've worked so hard to maintain that charm and beauty that I mentioned earlier to our neighborhood, and I don't agree. I personally and dearly vote against this ordinance. So I ask you again to consider the size of the lots. I'm a real estate agent. There are very few homes now that offer the size of lots that we have in our neighborhood. We live in a corner property that is over 19,000 square feet. It takes a lot to maintain it. And the homes that you find now have 4,500, 4,000, 3,900 square feet of property. We love our neighborhood, and we ask that you help us. You help us to protect it and to maintain, again, that charm and beauty. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak that has anything else different than what's been said so far? Please come forward if you do.
Thank you all. My name is Roque Olines. I live in O'Kane, not on Clark, but my father-in-law, he's been there for over 70 years. And he says, the traffic has become horrible on Clark. And when it gets backed up, we get our traffic on O'Kane. So we're completely against adding more stuff. To beautify it, take the boulevard off, make it all turning lanes. I went to Lakeway, and the turning lanes are awesome, all yellow and just in the middle. You make left turns, and that's it. It'll help the traffic out a lot. It'll help the traffic anywhere in Clark. And it's not just Seymour to Arkansas, it's Seymour to Ejido, correct? Yeah. So it's gonna affect a lot more people. And we're completely against it. Even though we're not there, we're a block away. We missed it by a couple of feet, but we still get affected because we got somebody on Clark that has a business that was not allowed to put asphalt. So when it rains like today, in this couple of days, everybody parks in our areas. And the traffic is horrible. So we're completely backing our neighbors to be against it, please, okay? Let's go forward instead of backward. You want to do something? Remove the medium on Clark. Take all those lights out, make them turning lanes. It'd be more beautiful for Laredo in the long run. Instead of trying to maintain, you keep them cleaner, the traffic flows a lot better. If you want to see something, I got something. I just took a picture, but I did a horrible job more than lately. But this is the way their medium looks. You can pass it.
Yeah, get the camera screen.
Thank you. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you.
Ahí la pueden poner, mira.
You put it on.
No, keep-
No, we can put it on display.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay.
Right, go ahead, here.
I don't know how to do it. That's okay.
You and most of
But
us in the
anyway,
room.
If you notice, that is their medium right there. And I went to Lakeway and I said, that is exactly, and that's how it looks. And the top part is yellow. So it stands out better. It's like your parking areas. Right here, you have them in yellow. You can see them better. I said, let's see. If you ever do something to Clark, take all the lights off, save the light bill. It'll be easier to clean, and it'll be strictly left turns. So, thank you all very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you for your service.
For willingness.
Thank you.
Stop. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the commission and staff. Appreciate y'all's time. This item seems rushed a bit. I don't think there was a town hall meeting for us.
You state your name, sir.
Oh, Mike Padron, I live on 2501 East Price Street.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So it just seemed rush. I know there's a lot of information. I think I would recommend maybe we do a town hall, the next meeting, schedule it for the next one. I think, there's a lot of folks that still have a lot of questions unanswered. I know we went over it right now, but at the end of the day, I would hope we could do that. And again, in theory, it sounds really well. It sounds like a good plan. It's part of planning's recommendations. But at the moment, reality is different. Theory is one thing, the reality is another. And the reality is sometimes it's tough for the city to enforce things. Because some of these folks, do not follow the rules. Kind of open Pandora's box here with certain uses. And I mean, I could ask staff right now how many CUPs have been revoked. And I could bet my house that it's probably 4 in the last, I don't know how many years. So it doesn't happen, that's my point. So we have to be very careful with what we allow. And currently, the current zoning that's there, like Mr. Bratton mentioned, really makes a difference. Other than allowing a broad amount of uses. So if we can, I recommend to you guys to please postpone the item, give us a chance to discuss this a little bit further. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would wish to speak?
Good evening, Blas Martinez. I'm also my house is on O'Kane Street, and pretty much everybody has already addressed the things that we are concerned with. Of course, safety, the increase in traffic, enforcement is a big deal. As far as it getting approved and things going as they should, and then enforcing it is always difficult. The existing businesses, I'm assuming that as they mentioned earlier, they're in compliance and they're aware of what they need to do. This Tuesday, unfortunately, I live on O'Kane and Urban Street. There's an 18-wheeler that goes and delivers, I guess, meat or groceries down at Prontos, which is a few blocks away, but he uses Urban Avenue, which he's not supposed to. He should be on the main road, which is either Malinche or Clark. Well, he went with ample road, in ample space on the road, he went and he knocked down a 3-foot by 28-foot piece of my tree. I've got a 63-year-old oak tree there on my property, one of the reasons why I bought the property there. And, the gentleman just went and did that. Now, that street is where the Nixon cross-country team and a lot of the sports teams practice the kids. A tree can be replaced, or unfortunately not replaced, but it's damaged. God forbid it's alive or something like that. The last thing we want is, increase delivery trucks and things of that sort going up and down the area. It's quiet in the Heights. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody looks out for each other. And we want to just make sure that it keeps it that way. As Mr. Bratton mentioned, if somebody's going to apply, they'd have to go through the process. The town hall meeting that Mr. Barron mentioned, I think would be very good for the education. A lot of the information that I picked up, this sounds very good, but this is the first time we see this. So I just wanted to show real quick, and I guess I can put it up here maybe on the screen, and I'm not sure if I'm doing this thing right or not, Ralph, and again, it's kind of hard to see, but that's that piece of my tree which broke this Tuesday. And it's almost like if it was on purpose, you know, because here we are talking about it, but, you know, it's a big tree. We've been very careful with it, and in less than 2 minutes, you know, we had this situation. So we want to avoid any kind of tragedy or any kind of issues in the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. The consensus has been pretty much the same. I'm going to ask, is there anybody here to speak in favor of the item before we move on? Okay. Are there any questions from the
I just
commission?
had a question. Was there no public hearings? I know like for Del Mar, there was a couple of public hearings that were held.
No, council directed us to move forward directly with the initiation of the adoption of the
They
ordinance.
just followed, okay. But there was nothing with the.
That's correct.
I have a question,
Yes.
Chairman. For staff, can you recall what city council, what their rationale was for this overlay district?
Can we recall what?
Can you recall, can you remind us what city council, what their rationale was for overlay district?
Councilman mentioned, if I remember correctly, that, you know, that he'd had some conversations with interested parties, that they were interested in having a little bit more flexibility along the corridor with regard to uses while trying to protect the sort of the residential character of the area. And I think he was very interested in the Del Mar overlay, and he thought that that would be a very beneficial sort of mechanism or tool to bring to his district. So that was, I think that's, if I can remember correctly, what he said.
Okay, and then a follow-up question to that. If hypothetically somebody purchased a property on Clark Boulevard and wanted to convert it into a business, and they went through the CUP process and it was approved, would there be any way to stop them from altering like the historic character of that specific building?
Well, the conditional use permit does allow a wide latitude in conditions. Typically, with conditional use permits, we haven't addressed architectural standards or that sort of, you know, the structure itself. It's limited to typically the performance standards and the use itself, so that its intention is to limit the negative impact that could be associated with the use that isn't allowed by the underlying zone. So as you all are familiar, typically the conditional use permit will have things such as lighting, fencing, screening, even the redundant, we mentioned paving, parking, just conformity with the land development code with regard to landscaping. But I don't recall too many that we've dealt with architectural standards.
Okay, but if we do have the capacity to do that, or legally we could?
Council has wide latitude to impose conditions.
Okay, because yeah, I see some businesses on Clark that they did alter the historic home, or whether or not, you know, how historic it was, but they did alter, they painted it, you know, bright yellow, or, and so I can see the benefit of having an overlay district for those purposes, but if we could also through a CUP include those architectural sort of conditions, that could be another avenue, because I think it does take away from the neighborhood when some businesses that are popping up, they are paving the entire, what would be the front lawn. And so I can see, you know, the harm of doing that, but if we can somehow bring it into CUP, I can see how we can take care of it like that.
Let's go ahead and have, we'll have one more citizen's comments. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Your name for the record.
My name is Oscar Palacios, and I just bought the house on 2202 Clark and Martin on the north side. And since I've been, now I regret buying the house because there have been just, I only had one year and four months there in the house, and there have been about 5 accidents down there right in front of the house there. And, I don't know, they should be doing something about the medium on that block. Because they got trees, palms and all that, and, sometimes it's, you can't see down, Clark when you're when I'm coming from this side, and, I don't know what this is the first time, there've been a lot of accidents out there, and, the latest one was, when they were, chasing that robber, the bank, and the policeman just, crashed right there in the front of the door of the house, and, hit one of my brother's little car. That hit and, I don't know, that street is, really, not an accident, so here's one of the accidents, can you put it there? No, yeah, well, oh, no, I can't see them. Well, but,
Can we help them?
well, let me see, I can,
I need to
can't
make
very
a
well
phone
get
call.
it done. Because I'm disabled. This guy needs to put down.
Yeah. Or zoom in on the screen?
Closer to the light. Closer to the.
Cast and all.
I need to bring my kid in.
That's what I'm saying. You need to tell me all that. There you go. There you go. That's all I'm saying, make it private.
And the house right here.
Yes.
Unless people are
Yes.
Commissioners.
I don't know that we can ask them, but we can definitely.
No.
All you do is just table it.
Even if I do,
Just everybody here.
So it's not a video right there. Look at the racetrack, there's a light and it's right in the corner.
No, you can't, because you just postpone it.
Table it.
I don't know what's
What about
happening.
He wants you to show the pictures
About the accidents?
That was the last one that,
of the accident.
there've been a lot of accidents here.
Let's see what the,
Down the street, that's another one.
so I think time's up anyway.
Yeah, the time,
The accident.
the 3 minutes.
Is that okay?
One person thinks it's a good idea.
And,
It's a
We saw it.
Why did he
It
think
was-
of it like, hey,
Oh,
here's
are we,
Mr. Chairman,
I think, are we timed up?
Yeah, time's up.
Time's up, so.
And, the thing is that, down the street.
Sir, I'm sorry.
Medium?
The time, you have 3 minutes and time's up, unfortunately.
Okay, yeah.
But
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your
the
service.
information?
I can't hear you very good.
Mr. Chair, I
Hearing aids.
have a couple questions for staff, if I may.
Sure.
First,
Like I said, they're in the.
my first question is regarding, section, of the Land Development Code 2478. How are they gonna address the issue of parking if they're not going to allow people to have more parking and allow for off-street parking or on-street parking? How are they planning to address that?
I'm sorry, say again, how is this ordinance planning to address it?
The overlay, I mean.
The overlay intends to, is as much as possible, maintain the existing characteristics of the homes or structures. So the parking would be limited to 2 parking spaces. So unless it's the lot or the site, continuous lots, total more than 9,000 square feet, they would be allowed to provide more parking other than the 2 parking spaces that are the limit of the 2 that are allowed by the district.
So there's no off-street parking, and so what's gonna wind up happening is you bring more parking, more individuals into that area, they're gonna start parking on side streets and other places. If you're not going to
Possibly.
allow for additional parking on-site.
The intention is that these uses would provide sort of amenities to the neighborhood that are walkable. that neighborhood residents would be able to walk to the tailor shop, the beauty salon, that's the comprehensive plan's vision.
That's not
And
realistic.
again, in theory, that's great.
Yeah.
It's worked out great in other communities, but not necessarily in ours. And again, if you're not going to have, the ability to accommodate people from outside of the neighborhood, right, that aren't gonna walk, then you're gonna create these other issues that potentially could be even more harmful to the neighborhood than allowing.
And for
easier
the
overlay.
business to be viable, it's gonna need to attract people from outside.
That's right. Not everybody, I mean,
There's only so many people that live down Clark, they're gonna walk there.
exactly. So again, you're basically inviting additional issues to the area. And then the other question I had was regarding the screening and the fencing under 2479. What would they force these individuals
The land
to do?
development code does require for commercial uses to provide opaque fencing between commercial uses and non-commercial uses. So, in this case, they would have to provide the fencing as required by the land development code.
There's a big fence around their property.
Mr. Chair, my last
Yes.
question would be regarding what the authority of the commission is to either remand this back to a town hall meeting so that the neighborhood can voice its opinion and its, or do we take action on it, allow it to go on to council and let them, with our recommendation, up or down, and let them to have the public hearing again at council? Because again, this is a public hearing. This is somewhat of a town hall as it is. But what is the authority of the commission?
It is on the agenda for your consideration to give a recommendation. If that recommendation is approval or denial, or to table it, and
That's the
bring
only
it
three.
back, your recommendation can also include either denial, any combination of the above, recommend, approval with town hall, denial with town hall, something like that.
Could it just be town hall?
It couldn't just be town hall.
Or table,
Postpone.
postpone for table and
Can
town
we
hall.
table and recommend?
Motion to.
Again, if you table the item, we've had this discussion about the definition of table. If you table the item,
Postpone, sorry.
so postpone it for a later
Postpone.
date, so that we have time to confer with our council members about what they would like to see
Or delay it.
happen. Again, but that it's time certain and it can come back. Again, if you table the item, then there's no more discussion. It ends there until something significant comes that changes the reason why we would bring that back. So,
May I
Yes.
speak? Thank you. I would like to make a motion denying this with a conditional, town hall meeting with all the neighbors, where they can go and express their feelings and everything. Because well, that's my motion. I don't know if we can do that, though.
Yeah, we'll have to investigate
What we can do.
yes, the town hall. Obviously, you can give the recommendation that you have, stated.
Yeah.
And, but whether it would be required to do the town hall, that's what we would have to
Well,
investigate.
well, it's only a recommendation, but really is that everybody that's here, they were all against it. You know, there was not even one, for it. So obviously we need or to postpone it and delay it until someone, gets them all together and figure this out.
but for the record, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
there were 13 folks who submitted something in writing that they were in favor of it. So, again, a town hall meeting, I think, is an appropriate thing, but if rejection is what's required to kick it up to council so they can address it, then maybe that's the motion.
That would be my motion.
I think ultimately, I think that's where it's at. You know, there was a directive to place down here. So I think, you know, the options pretty much are approve or deny.
Motion to
You know,
deny.
It was the directive. Again, you know, it's this commission's responsibility to give a recommendation, you know, however you see fit. And
They
then
can do with it what they
it'd
will.
get pushed on to council and there'd be another public hearing opportunity for the individuals who spoke today to speak again at the city council meeting.
That's good.
So we have a motion.
I make a
So
motion
we
to
have
pass.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Salas.
I'll second.
And we have a second by Commissioner Rangel. All in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Chairman, for the record, I abstain.
Okay.
Sir, may I be allowed to make one last, just?
We've already voted, and it's this, the items, but thank you for your written comment. Sorry?
Denial,
Denial of the.
Of the overlay.
It was a recommendation.
recommendation denial of the overlay. All of us in favor, except one abstention.
Motion to open public hearing 6B.
Second. I believe, was there communication to postpone this item?
Yes, sir, okay. Yes, sir, the applicant has requested that this item be postponed.
I make a motion to postpone.
Is it time certain for the next meeting?
Uh,
I believe so.
I don't recall, did he, this is the O'Kane, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Yes,
This is okay, yes.
Did he stipulate, a timeframe?
I believe, you
Well,
have
Let's
the.
do the next meeting.
Let's assume that it is the
I'm
next.
certain, and if they want another postpone, we can.
So do we have a motion to postpone time certain?
So
Yes.
moved, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Portillo. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
Motion to open public hearing 6C.
6C, amending the zoning ordinance map of the City of Laredo by rezoning lots 1 and 2, Block 88, Eastern Division. Save and accept a 0.0255 acre, 1,110 square feet tract of land as further described by meets and bounds and attached Exhibit A located at 103 Guadalupe Street and 1213 Monterey Avenue from B3 Community Business District to M1 Light Manufacturing District.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, we have GFL Management as the owner's applicant and Rebecca Geisler as the representative. Property location, it's lots 1 and 2, block 88, Eastern Division. Eastern Division, save and accept a 0.0255 acre tract of land as further described by meets and bounds and attached Exhibit A, located at 103 Guadalupe Street and 1213 Monterey Avenue. Zone change request is a B3 to M1. Proposed use is light manufacturing, which is a salsa manufacturing for bottling and distribution. Letters sent for 30, we have none for, none against. Location view. Aerial view. Street view. Signage. Zoning map. Future land use map. And the recommendation is staff does not support. However, staff recommends the pursuant of a conditional use permit due to the concerns of the residential uses abutting the property and the residential uses to the north of the site. There are concerns about the M1 uses such as bars, warehousing, tractor trailers visiting the site near residential uses. And the proposed motion.
Thank you.
Here, because there's too much commotion. Yeah. 1213 is my mom's residence. Yes. Yes.
No, hold on, I'm sorry, excuse me, right now, she's, excuse me, right now, she's just reading, right now, we'll introduce it, and then y'all will have your opportunity to speak.
And the proposed motion, yes.
Yes, okay,
Some
so,
people don't understand English, so you could, talk in Spanish because we're
okay, thank you. So this is a public hearing, anyone who wishes to speak in favor of this item, please come forward.
Hello, my name's Rebecca Geisler, I'm the applicant. I know y'all are requesting a special use permit, but the problem with special use is it only stays with me. So if we outgrow that property and move on, and we wanna rent it, then we have to go through this process all over again.
Another thing I want to mention, the 1213 Monterrey, I think they're referencing a home that's attached to the building, and that home, but I'm not sure on that one, because I have the warehouse, I have Pancho, and there's a home attached to it in one big plot.
Okay.
And they reference Monterrey, but in reality, I'm 103 Guadalupe. I don't know, we can get clarification on that.
The purposing of, referencing the Monterrey is because in our ArcGIS system, it does not show as 101 Guadalupe, it shows as 103 and, the address on Monterrey. And we go based off of our ArcGIS reader. However, it was discussed with, tax certificate purposes, it does have it as 101 and 103 Guadalupe, but in our ArcGIS, as per legal description, this is how we, notice.
Well,
It's not-
obviously,
it's-
that's not correct.
Because the law is, the lot one has both addresses. So in order
Yeah.
to
Well,
notice
101 and
the legal
103.
description, we have to notice both addresses.
Yeah, but Monterrey 12 isn't even on that block. 12 is a block down. Cause I own another home that's adjacent to this one, and it's 1109 Monterrey that butts up to this property. So 12, it's not even on the block.
So what would it be, 103?
If we can present the aerial on the
We
property.
get the map, 1213's on both those
You can
blocks.
see where it does address the 1213 Monterrey.
Yeah. Right.
It is 103 Guadalupe and 1213. And
That's
since
further
it-
down to Laredo. Okay.
Yes, so the property in requesting the zone change would be for lots 1 and 2. And lot 1 includes both addresses, 103 and 1213. So
No, ma'am, that's not correct.
Can I point out something on the map? It shows here like 10,
I'm sorry, hold on.
Yeah, so,
You have 1213 and 1213
We're
above
gonna
down.
need to
yeah,
clarify this.
so I apologize, I was looking at the aerial photograph that was provided, and there is a little bit of a discrepancy. The area between Guadalupe and Chihuahua on Monterrey Avenue is actually the 1100 block and not the 1200 block, so there is an error on the 1213 there, so
that
that
should
should
be
not be the case.
1113.
So it's not 1213.
It's not even, it's 103 Guadalupe. We're
Yeah.
taxed at 103. There is no 11. It should be 1111, but there's no tax.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 1200 block of Monterrey is actually
está más
correct,
para allá.
it's one block north.
Yeah, between Guadalupe and Laredo.
Yeah, there's a little error here.
On the map that you see, the red, is that the subject property and its boundaries
Yes.
for purposes of our conversation?
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And just to note, we're also the
Yeah.
landowner of that 1109.
The one south of it, you also
Yes.
own adjacent to it?
Yes.
Okay. But you're not seeking a CUP?
No,
on that?
not
Okay.
further.
And
And then, and
Yes,
Okay.
go ahead.
And then in the future use, I think she mentioned the high-density residential. All the other properties that are not on Monterrey, this
13 is incorrect. And we
119,
noticed 1213.
there's no way homes can go there because it's an overpass of the Guadalupe and Chihuahua Bridge. So for a high-density residential, not possible, and that block particularly. The other ones, yes, but we do have M1s in that area already. I'm not seeking something that's not in the area. We're located within Chihuahua and Guadalupe, so they won't be branching out into the residents. They're either coming in Chihuahua, leaving Guadalupe, so.
Are you currently operating already?
No, we're remodeling, we're in the process of upgrading,
And you don't want a conditional use permit because why?
I would prefer not, because it stays with me.
Yes.
So if we want to rent it, we outgrow it, God, and we go, then it's a whole process, and who knows what the rules are going to be then, and
So the reason staff's recommending conditional use permits, or one of the reasons why, is because it protects you as the person who has a permit, and it also protects the residents around the area. Because staff's not supporting the M1 zone, so once you go in M1 zone, and like you said, you decide to leave or rent it or sell it, they can pretty much put anything in that area.
yeah, but we
Now,
have.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
If, I'm sorry if I may interject. You know, with the issue here with the notice with the 1213 Monterrey, the 1200 block as opposed to the 1100 block, I think there could be some noticing issues, especially if the council were to approve this item, as far as who was notified. Although I think that the proper residents were notified, but it did have 1213 as opposed to 1100. The recommendation would be to avoid any potential problems would be to come back, so we can issue the proper notices, with the proper property descriptions.
Okay.
How long did that take? Do I have to wait another?
Yes,
No.
yes, it will have to come back to a subsequent planning and zoning commission meeting. We will notice as soon as possible. We'll have to see if we'll make the 10-day, requirement. It has to go before the 10th day. However, in your case, just, to be clear, council has, canceled, I guess for want of a better word, the first meeting in July. So the next meeting would be July 22nd. So you will not be delayed getting to council. You'll maintain your same schedule.
So,
I just want to know, though, there are other M1s in the area that are really within residential. We're kind of isolated from the other homes, and then we own the majority of the properties on that block.
so at this point, we cease discussion, and then we just, what do we do at this point?
Make a motion to postpone?
It's up to the commission if they'd like to discuss it and hear, the applicant any further, but it will have to come back.
We need to see it
So
in
then
Spanish.
Just a motion to postpone and renotice.
Yes.
That would be my motion.
Okay, so we're gonna have, just for the people who are in the audience that wanted to speak as well,
Yeah, no, I get it.
because of the accident renoticing, we're gonna have to postpone this item and bring it back for our next meeting, to make sure that everybody who's supposed to be noticed gets noticed.
Got it. Thank you.
Chairman, ¿quieres que les diga en español?
Sí, please.
Okay.
Short and sweet.
¿Cómo se llamaban? Ah, pues no sé.
Disculpe.
Es que hubo una confusión. Si quieren pasar al micrófono. Hubo una confusión en el área que se estaba promoviendo. Por error de dedo se puso la propiedad 1213 en la...
Porque pues, yo conozco ahí esa área por más de 70 años.
Sí.
Yo ya la conozco.
Entonces, la dirección era 1109, pero en el mapa estaba equivocado. Es correcto. Entonces, ahorita la decisión que se va a tomar es posponer, se va a posponer y se va a reenviar a las personas adecuadas, que en este caso no sería usted, porque no está en su cuadra. Sí, no está en su cuadra. Así es. Es correcto.
Y hay varias personas que no entienden inglés.
Sí, sí, sí.
Por eso que, quería que les hablaran y explicaran para que entendieran.
Sí, sí, sí.
Muchas gracias.
Sí, muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Entonces va a ser julio 22.
Ah, es correcto.
Otro meeting que va a
Sí.
haber. Va a ser julio 22.
Bueno, les van a, si les pertenece a ustedes, les va a llegar otra notificación y ahora sí, ahí diría la fecha. Así es. ¿Ok?
Pero para que regresen aquí.
Pero para que regresen aquí primero. ¿Ok?
Gracias.
Ándele, muchas gracias.
So,
Disculpe la molestia.
can I have a motion on this item?
Yep, the motion was to postpone and renotice.
Wait a second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Belmontes and a second by Commissioner Sala Paz. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Moving on to items
Motion to open public hearing 6D.
6D, amending the zoning ordinance map of the city of Laredo by authorizing a conditional use permit for outside storage on Lot 2, Block 1, DCAF, Mines Road plat, located at 16105 FM 1472.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, we have Wasfi Alkani as the owner. Property location is Lot 2, Block 1, DCAF Mines Road plat, located at 16105 FM 1472. Zone change request is a conditional use permit. The proposed use is an office identified as an online retail store with on-site shopping containers. Shipping containers, which is for outside storage. Please note that the shipping containers initiates the conditional use permit for outside storage. The zoning district is a B3. Letter sent for 27, we have none for, none against. Location view. Aerial view. Street view. Zone change signage. Zoning map. Future land use map. And the recommendation is staff supports. And the proposed motion.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anyone who wish to speak in favor of this item? In favor? In favor? Anyone who wish to speak against this item? Is the there's no applicant?
The applicant is here?
Oh. If you can just state your name and if you're in favor for.
Yeah, Kanani.
Okay.
I applied for the conditional use, just to use the shipping containers for the parts that I'm gonna sell. We're gonna be open 24/7 to serve the community and the trucking business with the parts. So it's gonna be just like a curbside business to deliver parts.
Are there any questions for the applicant?
I have a few questions. This property, what via are you going to, the curbside that you said?
Yeah,
Are you going in
deliver,
through?
yeah, we're just gonna deliver truck and trailer parts
Mhm.
to the clients.
To the client. You're not gonna use Mines Road or
Green Creek.
Green Creek?
No.
No. And then the other question from me is, you're gonna have some containers there, right? But are you going to, do like a specific wall or something? Like enclose it so you could, have your space? Or you're just gonna leave the containers there?
We're just gonna show, I don't know if the picture for they're just gonna be right next to the office, no, yeah. They're just gonna be like this all the way to the back. Yes,
The fence, I believe, is on the back of the property?
yes, on the back of
Which borders the residence, right? There's houses
Yes,
behind that.
there's houses.
Remember, we did not a zone change at this property a while back.
Yeah,
They wanted it before.
they wanted a before, but
yes. I don't have no machinery, no nothing, no noise, nothing
No
at
noise.
before.
It's gonna be store your parts
Yes,
that you're
just
selling
selling
out the front door.
And you're in agreement with,
There's 3 different
the staff
lots.
has, under conditions, are you in agreement with all conditions that are laid on the conditional use permit? You've reviewed them, you're good with them? Okay.
okay.
Are there any questions? Any other questions?
No.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Rolo Lozano for the record, acting building official for the city of Laredo. I wanted to explain to the commission as well as to the applicant that this property platted requires a shared access from Mines Road that has not been built. So before any permit is issued, that should be part of the improvement that's already been. So I just want to make sure everybody.
Because these are the 3 lots with 3 different, owners, right?
I came back.
And they had to be in agreement to how they would.
Right, an easement.
TxDOT is only providing one access to all 3 lots.
Right.
And so that access has not been provided yet. So therefore, all these properties haven't been developed. So I just wanted to make sure that the applicant is also aware that that is part of the improvements that need to be done.
For him to be able.
For whatever proposed use is
So
allowed.
have you mentioned that to him?
That's why I wanted to bring it up.
Okay, but you'll tell him.
Sure.
Okay.
Are you, is that part of the conditions? Is it listed in the
WASFI?
conditions?
Is it on the conditions stated on?
CUP?
It's not part of the conditions of the administrative.
But it's gonna come out in the one-stop shop, no? or no?
Well, there's no.
Are you-
Bueno, no,
so-
es en el
Okay.
plan review.
So, are you in agreement as far as the shared access, creating that shared
Yes, I
access?
went to the tax dot and they said there is one, and you guys have to share it, three of you. They have plan and everything over there.
Correct. There's a plan approved, however, it's not
Yes.
been done. I just want to make sure.
He said they have everything planned and everything.
Okay.
If I may, on that particular, you're aware that that's, I believe it's on the third lot, but it's going to be a shared cost.
Yes.
Have you talked to the two other owners?
I talked to the second one, he never showed up. He's always in Mexico.
The third one, you're talking to
third
the
one,
one that has the 2 acres
Yes.
in the corner
Yes. I talked to
accessing to the
I talked to the one
residential?
in the corner and he knows. He got an estimate and everything. We're just waiting for the third one. He never showed up.
Okay.
So you do understand, that you won't be able to operate into that road's created?
Because it's on his property.
What was that?
You won't be able to operate into that road has been built or created, that shared street or road. It's a street, correct?
Been approved, the plan has been approved through TxDOT, right? So it's an application, but just because it's approved doesn't mean it's been constructed.
Right.
So, if anybody comes in to develop it, that's gonna be a requirement before any certificate of occupancy is issued for any business. So, they can start, but they'll never get to the finish line until that is done. And, whoever applies for that needs to be done, I guess. I don't know if I'm explaining myself correctly. So, the plan that is been approved, fine, but it's not been implemented. And so that's gonna be part of any development on any of those 3 lots.
So should that have been added on his conditions? I believe so, so we don't have any misunderstandings.
If he's the responsible, well, he's not him, all of them.
Is it,
It's all 3 of them.
is
It's a
it in
shared
the
cost.
conditions?
No.
I didn't see.
No?
So that's why I wanted to.
Not even in the text doc? Tampoco?
If I may?
Yes.
On the actual recorded plat, there is a specific plat note
Plat
that
note?
talks about the access.
Okay.
It has to be approved by TxDOT, so by doing this, they would be in compliance with that.
Correct.
So that's separate the part of the platting side, so that was addressed on the
Sí,
platting side.
de todas maneras sí se
Mr. Chairman,
permite.
Yeah.
but approval of the plan is one thing, construction is the other, right? So at this moment, TxDOT has already approved,
No,
there's a note on the plat?
approval of this development, we go to the plat notes.
Right.
And one of that is the shared access.
And that's already on the plat notes?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
But you're not going to issue a certificate of occupancy until
We're
it's
not gonna
constructed?
issue a permit unless those, improvements are suggested or proposed, I guess.
Which is proposed?
Right.
Okay.
Okay, this is a private property, they're gonna have one driveway, and then in the private property is gonna tee off to the different lots.
So he needs to talk to the
Third person.
You're aware of that, you've
Well,
had
he's
discussions with
aware,
the
he's
other
aware.
owners.
I've seen it to where each lot does their own improvements, but I don't know what agreement anybody has, right? We don't get involved in.
You just want-
Private agreements, we just know.
Want the improvements to be
We're only gonna have
constructed.
one access, right? And once you get in there, then it tees off, and if he's in the middle, he does the middle, and if he's on the edge, he's gonna have to do all the way to the edge.
Okay.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I make a motion to follow staff recommendation and approve the conditional use permit.
We have a motion and a second for approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Moving on to the next item.
Motion to open the public hearing, 6E.
All in favor? Yes, we haven't been.
I've been doing that.
Yeah, okay.
16? Okay.
6E.
Amending the zoning ordinance map of the city of Laredo by authorizing a special use per, oh. Have to approve it?
Yeah, we should. I mean, you should. It's a motion, so you have to act on the motion. Motion
All in
open.
favor?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay, motion carries. Amending the zoning ordinance map of the city of Laredo by authorizing a special use permit for a restaurant serving alcohol in lots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, block 473, Western Division, located at 800 Garden Street.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the record. Applicant is Shireen Laredo, LP owner, Stephen Lindsay. Representative property descriptions, lots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, block 473, Western Division. The PowerPoint got removed.
What happened?
The PowerPoint. Okay. Western Division located at 800 Garden Street. The zone change request is a special use permit. A proposed use of the restaurant serving alcohol to be located within a hotel currently known as Hotel Ava to become the DoubleTree by Hilton. Zoning district is B3, letter San 1340 against 0.
Location view. Aerial view. Street view. Zone change signage. Measurements map. Zoning map. Future land use map. And the recommendation is staff supports. Continued recommendation. And the proposed motion.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anyone wish to speak in favor of this item? Against the item? Did the applicant reach out or comment?
We reached out, they said that, a representative was going to come from the hotel, but
But they, okay.
Is this the
Motion
first to postpone? No?
Motion to approve.
Special use permit.
Nomás,
So
nomás
special use
está
permit.
cambiando a ser una franquicia, de franquicia. Motion to approve and go with staff's recommendation.
Second. We have a motion and a second by Commissioner Portillo. All in favor? Aye. Against? Motion carries.
Motion to open public hearing 6F.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Items open. Amending the zoning ordinance map of City of Laredo by authorizing a special use permit for storage and handling of hazardous materials on Lot 4, Block 6, International Commerce Center, Unit 1, located at 1022 Black Diamond Street.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, we have Garza's Fence Incorporated as the owner, we have Edgar Garza as the applicant, and Miguel de la Rosa as the representative. Property location is Lot 4, Block 6, International Commerce Center, Unit 1, located at 1022 Black Diamond Street. Zone change request is a special use permit. The proposed use is for above-ground D-zone fuel storage, which is storage and handling of hazardous materials. Zoning district is an M1, letter sent for 11, and we have none for, none against. Location view. Aerial view. Street view. Zone change signage. Zoning map. Future land use map. And the recommendation is staff supports. And the proposed motion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. Anyone who wishes to speak in favor of this item?
Buenas tardes. Si me lo permiten, les hablar en español. Mi inglés no es muy bueno. Me lo permiten hablar en español. Mi nombre es Emanuel Ledesma. Yo vengo en representación de Blue Hill Fuels. Y lo que estamos buscando o pidiendo es que nos autoricen un permiso para la transferencia y almacenamiento de combustible en nuestro patio o instalación, que es Black Diamond 1022. Más que nada eso es lo que estamos buscando. Nosotros somos una empresa que nos dedicamos a la venta y compra de combustibles. Ahorita tenemos esta instalación en Laredo, la cual pues prácticamente no está en uso, por lo mismo que no contamos con los permisos. Y lo que queremos es eso. Venimos buscando ese permiso. No sé si tengan alguna duda, pregunta más sobre lo que hacemos para que yo les pueda decir o...
¿Usted está de acuerdo con las condiciones que están en el permiso?
¿Cómo digo?
¿Usted está de acuerdo con los permisos, las condiciones en el permiso?
Sí.
¿Sí? Ok.
Sí.
Con todas las condiciones que vienen y que tiene que hacer para
Para poder operar ahí.
operar y tener obtener el permiso.
De hecho, nosotros buscamos, ahora sí que nos gusta trabajar siempre, o sea, que al 100%, al margen de la ley, no nos gusta tener ningún tipo de problema ni nada de eso. Por eso mismo es que buscamos este camino, para poder trabajar de la mano con ustedes, ¿verdad? Y no tener ningún problema, ¿no? No sé
Ya nos han dicho exactamente qué es lo que piden los requerimientos. Siempre trabajamos con seguridad. De hecho, bueno, viene conmigo, él es uno de nuestros asesores de seguridad, ¿verdad? También tenemos aquí en Estados Unidos especialistas en Ocean que nos asesoran, DOT, todo lo relacionado al tema de seguridad. Siempre trabajamos en todas nuestras instalaciones, ¿verdad? Nuestros tanques de almacenamiento cuentan con válvulas de seguridad, cuentan con membranas o geomembranas para evitar derrames. Contamos con extintores, señalamientos, extintores de 150 libras, dependiendo del tipo de producto que tengamos, ¿verdad? Todo nuestro equipo, bombas, todo eso es fuel point, es para mover combustible, no es equipo improvisado. Las unidades que tenemos también, todas son para mover combustible crudo. Nuestros operadores todos cuentan con sus permisos de Hatsman, DOT, todo lo necesario.
Perfecto.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Gracias, compadre.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for staff, for our fire department. Have you reviewed all the conditions and all the conditions that make you all feel comfortable with the transfer of fuels?
Well, it's not so much the conditions that are put in place. What they're gonna have to do is before they do any fuel transfer, they're gonna come to our office and lay out all their operation. We'd have to review it completely and then approve it. But just because you all approve the use doesn't mean that they can start operation. They gotta get approval from the city before they do anything at that location.
And they know that.
Chief, if you can just state your name for the record.
Sorry, it's Chief Domínguez for the Laredo Fire Department.
¿Sí entendió?
No, sí.
Ok. Lo que está diciendo es que una cosa es la aplicación para el permiso y otra cosa es que puedan realizar cualquier trabajo antes de que la ciudad y el departamento de seguridad de la ciudad, que en este caso son los bomberos, ¿verdad? Si a ellos les vas a tener que venir aparte, una de las condiciones, me supongo que viene aquí, viene que tienes que ir con ellos y le tienes que enseñar todo tu proceso para que ellos puedan darte luz verde antes de cualquier cosa que tú hagas. Una cosa es el permiso y la otra cosa es todo el proceso, lo tienes que ver directamente con ellos antes de que lo hagas.
Ese es nomás el primer paso, ¿verdad? Ya ellos le dicen que usted puede hacer eso en ese local y ya que aquí está aprobado, usted tiene que ir al building department, ¿verdad? Y enseñarle todo lo que van a hacer ahí y tenemos que verlo, aprobarlo y luego ya le dan los permisos de la ciudad y ya pueden comenzar a operar ahí. Pero antes que el building department y el fire department le dan approval, no pueden hacer nada de fuel transfer.
Sí, está bien, no tenemos problema. Estamos de acuerdo.
Gracias.
Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
For staff, and for the fire department, this number 21, item 21, which is the owner shall comply with building health, safety, fire, environmental, and applicable codes and regulations. Is that a catch-all that's good enough for you, or is there something that you would want inside the conditions?
Yeah, no, that's what we need.
I spent 13 years doing this, so I know why they're concerned. There's everything from spillage and contamination as well as the safety issues. So, very
Thank you. If there's no other comments,
Motion to close the public hearing and support staff's recommendation for
Second.
approval.
we have a motion, a second by Commissioner Sala Paz. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
Motion to open public hearing 6G.
We have a motion, a second by Commissioner Cáceres. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Item 6G is a public hearing on an ordinance imposing a moratorium on application and plans for development, permits, plats, rezonings, and site plans for car wash businesses within the corporate city limits of Laredo, Texas.
So just briefly, again, Xavier Charles, City Attorney. So this is, this item doesn't require any action from the commission. It's just a public hearing to provide the statutory notice to anyone who wishes to speak for or against on the item. So that's why it's here on the agenda from here. This is satisfies one public hearing. The second public hearing will be satisfied at the next council meeting. Council will vote on the introduction of the ordinance.
Okay. So is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor or against?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
You have a motion, a second by Commissioner Rangel. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. We're now moving on to consideration of the following preliminary plats and preliminary replats.
El único que queda.
Items. 7A, preliminary consideration of the replat of lots 5 and 6 and east 50 foot of lot 7, block 813 Eastern Division, and to lots 5A and 7A, block 813 Eastern Division. The intent is residential.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for the record, applicant is Lucina Parra, Bonfilio Villeda, and Manuel Arturo Leal. Engineer is Savio Engineering. Proposed use is residential, and the zoning for this two-lot development is B1. Location view, aerial view, the plat and the proposed replat. Comments from planning, and the proposed motion.
Thank you. Engineer record.
Evening, PNC Commission. My name is Jonathan Vasquez from Cyber Engineering. We concur with staff comments, and I'm here if you have any questions or concerns.
Are there any questions from the engineer?
No question.
Thank you.
Sí, nomás son dos.
What sort of action would the commission like to take?
Motion to approve.
Subject to comments.
We have a motion by Commissioner Sada Paz. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Rangel, all in favor?
Aye.
Against, motion carries. Moving on to consideration of the following final plats and final replats. We have item 8A, final consideration of the plat of Cuatro Vientos East Right Ranch Subdivision, Phase 5. The intent is a residential. Proposed action is approval. What sort of action would the commission like to take?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Casares. Second.
We have.
Make a motion? Oh, the motion was already done.
Throw your bone.
Motion to allow him to make the
Throw
motion.
your bone.
We have a motion approved by Commissioner Casares. And a second
Second.
by Commissioner Bernardes. All in favor?
Aye.
Against, motion carries.
He's fine over there.
Moving on for consideration of model subdivision compliance. Item 9A is a consideration of model subdivision rule compliance of the plat of lot number 3, B3W Taquecitos Partnership 2 subdivision. The intent is residential. Can we also have a motion of action on this item?
Motion to approve?
We have a motion approved by Commissioner Cantu.
Second.
Oh, there you go.
Pass it all in favor?
You're alive over here.
Against, motion carries. Now moving on to discussion and possible action.
The date, time.
Discussion and possible action to change the date, time, and venue of the regular scheduled Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of July 4th, 2024, due to Independence Day holiday. What are the considerations from staff?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. For this particular item, we do have the 4th of July holiday on the Thursday, which would be our regular scheduled meeting.
Right.
We did confirm with management and city secretary, and we do have council chambers available on the day before, on the 3rd, for 12 noon or 6 p.m. So whatever, I mean, it's your recommendation, would it be more convenient? We know it's a little bit difficult because that week a lot of people tend to be out, but we do have both 12 noon and 6 p.m. available.
Can we vote? Can we see how many are gonna be here? Is it number one?
I know, for me personally, I could meet 6, I cannot meet 12, but I can definitely be back in time for 6. I don't know how everybody else
But
feels.
you're good on the 3rd.
On 3rd, yeah, I can be back.
Who's not good on the 3rd?
I can't meet on the 3rd.
You can't meet on the 3rd. Cindy can't meet on the 3rd.
Let's see if y'all have 4.
I'm good on the 3rd.
I'm good on the 3rd.
I'm good on the 3rd. 1, 2, 3.
We have 6.
So you okay with
Now,
that?
I mean, 12 or 6, I mean,
I'm fine with either one.
either one.
Yeah.
Pues a las 6 para que estés. Ya, por favor.
Yeah. So, July 3rd, 6 p.m.? Do we take action on that? Or is it?
Yes,
please,
yes,
please
right. Motion to schedule the meeting for July 3rd at 6 p.m.
We have a motion and a second by Commissioner Salazar. All in favor? Aye. Against, motion carries. I know it's not on here, but any director's comments or,
I don't have anything.
and can we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
There you go.
Second by Commissioner Cantu. All in favor?
Señorita,
Against,
listo.
motion carries. We're adjourned.